I grew up in a society that didn't believe in God. Like, we just believed in science and in facts, in scientifically proven facts. That was basically our basis of understanding the world. And I don't think it was really until college that I first started to realize that there was more to life than it seemed on the surface. And it was a magic mushroom trip, actually, believe it or not. That was a kind of a reawakening, and this really kind of the start of my formal or adult spiritual journey. I didn't know what to expect. I was with my best friend and another one of our friends, and at first it just kind of felt like getting stoned, things were just kind of funny, but soon enough things got a lot different. And I remember having the thought of remembering this kind of state that I was being put into. It was a very childlike state. Very childlike. I felt like I had remembered it from when I was really young. And it was a state where everything around you physically was completely novel and new and just absolutely amazing, because it really is. And what I was recognizing was that I had put up countless barriers in my mind between reality and my own perception of reality. And it was during this time that those barriers were removed for a period of time, and I was really just experiencing again how beautiful life is. Of course, like, you see some patterns and some things, and that didn't matter as much to me as feeling the sunlight on my skin, for example, and just appreciating how absolutely insane it is that there's a giant gas ball out there in the solar system radiating heat, traveling all this way through space and entering my physical body and just giving me a pleasurable sensation, a feeling of comfort, of warmth. And how freaking lucky we are that is happening, And I also recognized that I had so much love also for my family, for my friends, for everyone in my life. And we were up on a mountain too. We were in Los Angeles at the time. We were up on, I can't really call it a mountain, but we were up pretty high and looking down on the city, and also just recognizing how the entire city as a collective consciousness is so engrossed in activity and basically, has their eyes down, not upward, metaphorically. And I also recognized that I was living like that for the last multiple years before then. That I realized, wow, I had been living in such a depressed state. I've been so depressed. And I knew I was never going to allow myself to go there again, because I made a promise to myself that I would remember that that is not the full truth. There is that reality itself is beautiful, rare, special, amazing. And it's just a matter of remembering that and just letting yourself appreciate it. Giving your attention to it and just being there with it. I did have the fear that I would be in this state forever. I'm going to be high forever. I'm never going to come down. I had this kind of wave of fear, but then realized, no, maybe that's okay, actually. It's not so bad. It did wear off eventually, obviously. It's not really a magic pill or anything. You have to eventually deal with yourself again. All of the layers of the mind come back. You end up where you were before you started, with just a memory of an experience. And so it doesn't change you on a fundamental level, but at least my experience was, in the older I get now on my journey, I realize also it's grace itself. It is the grace of the divine to be gifted with this experience, because not everybody has these types of experiences with these drugs. Some people have really bad experiences. So that's why I can't actually recommend it anymore necessarily. Because really, it is not for everyone. It really is not. But for me, it was a window in a way to, or even just a reminder of a version of who I am, who is not operating with so much mental unclarity, who is just much more present. And it is such a beautiful world, actually, in truth. So that experience was, for me, I guess, when I look back on it, the start of really exploring the possibility of there being more to this life than just partying, being successful, getting with girls, having a great time, having great experiences, hanging out with friends, all this stuff. That there's actually something even deeper going on here. That this immense sense of interconnection with everything and everyone. That there is some deeper shit going on. So that led me to Ram Dass, that led me to Yogananda, that led me to other spiritual teachers who are still living now, led me to yoga courses, led me to Kriya, and eventually led me to my guru, who's living now in the body, a fully realized master. And now I'm faced with the inevitable kind of conclusion, which is like, not the inevitable conclusion, but the inevitable progression, I should say, because there really isn't any conclusion to a spiritual path. It just continues, right? But the inevitable progression of letting go of the past to make room for the future. And it's kind of like those mental states that I talked about, that where they had dissolved for a period of time and then came back. It's kind of like now my exercise is to learn to let go these worldly paths and desires. Because they are the products of the divine, but they are not the divine itself. The divine itself is the wholeness. It is the underlying energy of all of that, of everything. And eventually the desire comes to want to get to know that, to want to pursue that, to want to be with that, to want to be in tune with that, to want to become that internally, to remove the barriers between yourself and that experience. And there are a lot of practices that lead us there, but and we can bring the divine into everything that we're doing, right, and let it transform us. It's not really that we have to give up anything, but at least for me, it happened anyway. Like, I started to bring the divine into my life, and things started just going away. Like, certain relationships dissolved. My businesses were closed due to circumstances, And I don't know if it's, like, from my point of view, from my perspective now, it really feels that it's, whether it's a soul desire or it's Krishna taking things, to make room for this particular soul's relationship with the divine. That's what it feels like. That's what it seems like. Because we only have so much time and so much energy, And whoever said that, where your attention goes, your energy flows, or whatever that saying is, But it's true, So, yeah, and after you start to recognize that it just doesn't make sense to put your energy and time into worldly things that are not gonna be here after some time. They won't last, and they change, they dissolve, and they evolve, and people die, The possessions become old, outdated. They need to be replaced. And all of your works are eventually forgotten in the sands of time. New generations come, people are, new actors replace the old actors in the movies, Old buildings are destroyed and new ones built on top of them, etc. And it doesn't mean that it's not worth doing all these things. I mean, like, we have to do stuff, especially if we're involved in the world, then we have to be into it. You can't just be apathetic and not do your work. Because somehow that's kind of, I don't know, more than counterproductive, but it's... But perhaps it's just more of an attitude thing. Really, to not put our attention and energy so deeply into it as if it's the meaning of life, you know? When really it is the underlying cause of all things, that divine energy that we should be putting our energy into. Even if the outside may look like worldly stuff. But for me, I do have the option right now. I don't have a family of my own. I don't have any more a company. I don't have any more a girlfriend. And I do have the option of giving my time, my energy wholly into the divine. And that's kind of the scary part of it. And really, I was on board with the journey since the beginning. I've always been curious about it. Ever since I was struck with that initial experience, the curiosity it's more than curiosity. It's a longing, even. A longing for this certain state of being that I feel like I used to know. And I think a lot of you guys know it too. And I'm not saying that there's only one way there. For sure, there's innumerable ways. Probably 8 billion ways. And counting. So, I don't know why there's still so much internal struggle, and it's just attachment, I guess. There are certain things that I love, you know, in addition to the divine, and that's a very complicated matter, it seems. I don't know how to make it simple. But I know somehow it has to all come together. Because I can't be more than who I am. I can't be more than one person. So, yeah. I'm not just a filmmaker. I'm not just a lover. And I'm not just a seeker. So somehow this is all gonna have to come together, and I don't know how the fuck it's gonna work. So, we shall find out together.